rival? Joining me now to weigh in on this is Georgia Congressman, House Budget Committee member, and House Energy and Commerce Committee member, Congressman Buddy Carter. Congressman, welcome back to the Salcedo Show. You know, I can save the Washington Post fact checker some time here and award Biden's spokesmouth 4 Pinocchios. What say you?
No question about it. Look, this is another typical example of the Biden administration wanting to do just the opposite of what the Trump administration wanted to do. They don't want to give the Trump administration any credit for any of the successes they had. And oh, by the way, in the Middle East, the Trump administration had many successes. The Abraham Accords were the greatest success that we've had in peace accords in the Middle East in decades. The Trump administration stood by Israel. They pushed back on Iran. The successes of the Trump administration in the Middle East are enormous. And again, this is nothing more than the Democrats just simply wanting to go against the Trump administration and to do the opposite of the Trump administration.
Well, as the fighting is breaking out in the Middle East, it's dividing the Democrat Socialist Party. BLM is supporting the Jew-hating terrorists of Hamas. Meanwhile, new polls from the Trafalgar Group asking who should be blamed for the Middle East violence. A majority of Socialist Democrats, or at least I think it was something around 40%, not a majority, but 40% of them, they're blaming Israel. And GOP voters blame, of course, the terrorists. Doesn't this buttress Professor Dershowitz's concern that the home of anti-Semitism is actually the Socialist Democrat Party?
There's no question about it. And let us make no mistake about it. Two things. First of all, Hamas is nothing more than a terrorist organization. We know that. There's no question about that. And where does it originate? It originates from Iran. They are getting their rockets. They're getting their finances from Iran. They're being encouraged by Iran. This is nothing more than Iran wanting to wipe Israel off the face of the earth. And we've got to stand up for Israel. And the Democrats have to understand. And they're sending mixed messages. There's no question about it. For instance, Georgia's Socialist Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock has been sending mixed messages. AOC has tweeted out that we should not be rubber stamping arms sales to Israel. And in fact, plans on introducing a resolution to stop arms sales to Israel, which would be the worst thing that we could do at this point. We have to stand with Israel. Israel is our friend. They're the only democracy in the Middle East, and we've got to make sure that they remain there.
Yeah, we can thank Obama for it being the only democracy in the Middle East. Iraq had a chance. Anyway, let's talk about the origins of the China virus, should we? 18 prominent scientists calling for a full investigation of the origins of that virus. Plus, officials from the last administration revealed to us that Xi Jinping stopped travel between Wuhan and China when the virus broke out. But then Xi Jinping allowed millions to travel out of Wuhan around to the rest of the world. Don't we need a full accounting first, Congressman, of what happened? And why are Democrats desperate to protect China from the consequences of the deaths they have unleashed on the world?
There's no question about it. China is responsible for this virus. They sent us this virus and took our jobs. There's no question about that. And we have to understand where it originated from. We don't know. We don't know if it came from the wet market, if it came from the School of Virology. And we should know that. That's why on the Energy and Commerce Committee, we've been pushing that committee to do an investigation, to find out exactly where it originated. That's important. We need to understand that fact needs to be established. But there's no question that China covered it up and allowed it to expand into other countries and allowed it to expand into America. And again, it ruined it made a substantial blow to our economy and cost us jobs. So we need to understand this. This is important to make sure that it doesn't happen again. And it's important to keep China under control because they are responsible. They should be held accountable for this.
Yeah, and Congressman, really quickly, quick answer if you can give me one. Why do you think Democrats are so committed to protecting communist China?
Again, this is just another way for them to go against the Trump administration. And that's all they want to do. Whatever the Trump administration did, they want to do the opposite.
All right. Socialist Democrats, they're poised to pass a bill authorizing a 9/11-style commission on the January 6th riot. But socialists are refusing to expand the scope of this investigation to cover the ongoing American violence at the hands of BLM and Antifa. Now, aren't leftists just seeking to criminalize opposition to their left-wing extremism with this proceeding?
No question about it. Listen, this commission cannot be successful unless it takes into consideration everything, events before January the 6th and events afterwards. I mean, you have to have a full scope in order to understand the relationship that might have existed or that did exist with these other movements. And look, I condemn what happened on January 6th. We all do. That has no place in our country. But at the same time, we've got to look at the other things that happened too. And to have a commission that is slanted and is partisan is not going to give us the kind of answers that we deserve.
Yeah, I'm not certain why Nancy Pelosi doesn't seem to have a problem with looting, burning, breaking windows, breaking into federal buildings, ransacking federal buildings in other cities other than Washington, D.C. Why she doesn't look at that as extremist, I'm just not sure. Congressman Buddy Carter, appreciate the time as always, sir. How